welcome back to the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is September 25th, Thursday night, about 6:38 p.m. Steelers got a game in Ireland this week, 9:30 a.m. Eastern start time. Lee, are you ready for the early morning Steeler game?
I'm ready for an early morning keg and eggs type of
Egg and eggs. As long as the
fucking
check's
football.
clear,
Yeah.
as long as the check's clear this week, I'm going to get myself a nice keg and have some morning fun with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hopefully, you'll be able to come join us at the 9:30 start.
I'll be excited if it's a thing, but I'm ready for the Steelers to an early morning. I think this is the first time they played an international game. So
no, they've been in London, right?
I didn't think so. I don't think this. I think this is the first time. I really think this is the first time they played a morning.
Hold on.
A morning game overseas.
Hold on.
All right, I'll hold on.
Keep going talking though.
But I'm excited. I'm hoping this could be a good game. 9:30 in the morning. Be early morning for us to get up, but I'll be ready for some football early morning, 9:30. And all I can hope for is that the Steelers get some good luck of the Irish while they're over there in Ireland.
You might be right, which is crazy that they have not had an international game. I just assumed that they've had them. So
I don't think so. I don't think they have.
Here we go. That's ChatGPT sucks. It's saying their last game was the one that hasn't happened yet, so that's not helpful at all.
Can't trust.
They played at Croke Park in '97, but that was a preseason game. So you might be correct, which is crazy to hear. And I feel like I'm in my mind. I just remember them playing outside of it, but I can't find it off the bat. And if it existed, it existed. Yeah. They haven't had a one London game.
I don't think they've played anywhere international. If anywhere, they may have played in Mexico City, but I just know that. I know that they have fans down there. I don't think they've played anywhere international. But I think this will be the first one.
Which you probably looked it up or at least knew. So yeah, I believe your take for sure. But that is surprising to me because how long have they been doing like the international series? It's been
I want to say maybe
like a decade, right?
Yeah, about a decade. I was gonna say 10 years. Yeah, I think about a decade. I think they've done a couple in London for sure.
Yeah,
and then they just started broadening it out to I think Berlin, and I think now they're gonna have one in Spain and Brazil. They've done a couple times. Mexico City, of course, they've done a couple times. Now I think this will be the first one in Ireland for sure. Am I wrong?
You're wrong.
Oh, okay.
Guess who they played?
Who do they play?
Minnesota at Wembley Stadium in September 29th of 2013. I knew there had to be a game, but I couldn't prove it. But yeah. So they have played. Most recently, it looks like it was in Wembley Stadium. 83,000 were there. I knew there had to be one, but I was too much of a coward to really challenge you. Let's see if there's any other ones since then.
That was in 2013?
2013.
Yeah, I don't remember that, to be honest.
That's the only one I'm seeing here. So there's a team one. Okay, so Minnesota's played 4 of these games. According to this stat here. Oh, what are you doing? My dog is in the kitchen or is in the hallway. Yeah, Steelers have only played 1 game. So that's the only game the Steelers have played. They are 0-1.
That's my fault.
In Europe.
Sorry. That's my
regular season. Don't apologize. I was letting you go. Anyway, they play Minnesota this week. Mike Tomlin had his weekly press conference. Let's hear what he had to say about the game this week, specifically what he thinks of the Minnesota Vikings and their roster here.
Now on to the Vikings. Start first with the Viking offense. I think they've already made the announcement that Carson Wentz is their starting quarterback this week, and that certainly has our attention. He's a Grizzly veteran. Oftentimes, particularly when you have a young, inexperienced quarterback, there's some big-time benefits of playing with a vet backup. The veteran guy oftentimes does the intangible components of the job very well. They communicate and articulate the schematics and the plan to others. They uplift guys and get people lined up. They oftentimes are able to carry more schematic responsibility and so forth at the line of scrimmage. And so I don't necessarily view it as a negative thing for the Minnesota Vikings, at least in the short term, that Carson is playing for him. We were in a similar situation a year ago. We were playing in Indianapolis, man, and I commented to the guys that, keep Richardson upright. Don't put Flacco in the game. And, Flacco ended up in the game.
Yeah, I'm honestly with them there. I think that the Vikings are a much more dangerous team, at least here in September, with Carson Wentz than they would have been with JJ McCarthy. I don't know where your head's at.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, Carson Wentz is definitely a veteran and has had more play time than JJ McCarthy. McCarthy is the rookie. And so I think that they are definitely more of a threat with a veteran quarterback behind the center right now. And so it's going to be an interesting game, playing against him. I think the Steelers have maybe played against Carson Wentz once or twice. And I think I saw a stat that said, which I think is kind of crazy, that he has started for 6 different teams in the past 6 years. I guess no other quarterback has ever done that. So it'll be interesting to see, the play style that he's going to have with this team. Again, I agree. I think that with a veteran quarterback, it's a lot more difficult to play against than it would be if it was a rookie back there.
I don't even think it's just the veteran versus inexperienced. I think it has to do with the way they play, the style of play. Carson Wentz seems to fit this roster and this offense much better than JJ McCarthy does at the moment. JJ McCarthy's not your typical prototypical stand in the pocket kind of passer. He's more of a guy who's going to get out on the edges. He's going to score, run some more. And you have so many weapons on the outside. They're getting Addison back today or this week too. That I think that it just makes more sense for the roster makeup to have a guy like Carson Wentz, who's similar to Sam Darnold. I don't think he's as good as Sam Darnold, but it's definitely a situation where this offense with Wentz in there is a lot more similar to what they were running last year when they had a lot of success.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I think that he is definitely a guy that's more going to be in the pocket kind of quarterback, not going to be moving around. So it's going to be, the Steelers defense is going to have to try to flush him out of the pocket. If they can't get back there and they keep him contained and he has time to throw the ball, I think it's going to be a little bit of a problem. If it was more of, like you said, the style of JJ McCarthy running around, I think it might be a little bit different for our defense because they'd be able to kind of chase him around because he kind of moves around. But if they're not going to be able to get to the quarterback and get some sacks with him standing in the pocket, I think it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and hopefully I'm not stealing Tomlin's thunder because he's about to keep going on the topic. But I haven't listened to this, so but the also is the Steelers defense is kind of made to stop like Lamar Jackson and things like that. So that's the other thing to take into account that the Steelers have had success against running quarterbacks.
Yes, for sure.
Talked about in the past.
I think that's oftentimes some of the things that you can run into when you run into a veteran guy, at least from a short-term perspective. And so we got a lot of respect for Carson and his journey, his experience, and what he's capable of providing his team this week. We're preparing with that understanding and that edge. He certainly has a full repertoire of targets available to him. The return of Jordan Addison, I think, is significant. Watched him a lot when he was in Pittsburgh. He is a talented receiver. He's capable of taking the top off the coverage. He has very good body control and hand-eye coordination and fine motor skills. He's good after the catch. Certainly, Jefferson is a man to be reckoned with. Good 50-50 ball guy, tough, good after the catch as well. TJ at tight end is a challenge. And so, Carson has a nice arsenal of people to throw the ball to. Jones, their running back, is down, but they have Mason. Mason's a guy that distinguished himself in the league last year in San Fran, playing in place of McCaffrey. He's a downhill runner. His power always falls in the right direction. He had a really good game last week. And so, there's a lot of things that have our attention. The return of their left tackle is a major component, not only of their run game, but also protecting Carson's blind side. And so we got a lot to be concerned about and prepare for on that side of the ball.
So yeah, I'm honestly right there concerned is a very good word. There's a lot of weapons on this team. The Steelers are going to need turnovers, I think. Hopefully they get a pass rush going, but I mean, the Vikings got a good tackles at least. Brian O'Neill on the right side, I'm pretty sure he's still there. Former pick red, and I know he's had many stretches of seasons where he hasn't given up any sacks. But the left tackle he just says back. I'm not as informed on who their left tackle is because I got that pit bias. Is the only reason I know their right tackle. But yeah, there's a lot of weapons, and I am concerned about the defense stopping them.
Yeah, they have a top two, if not top one, the best receiver in the league right now with Jefferson. Addison is definitely a problem for sure, and TJ is Hawkinson, right? I think that's the is the tight end. He's a menace as well to have to deal with, and so I agree. They're going to have to get turnovers, and they're going to have to figure out a way to get to Carson Wentz. With the running back position that they have going on right now with Mason, he is a talented player. I've seen him play, make some plays and stuff. And what's been going on with the Steelers defense, they may give them another 100 yards, but they're going to have to figure out a way to stop the run as well. And if they can't stop the run, then it's going to be a problem over the air as well. And so the defense is really going to have to lock in with the weapons that Carson Wentz does have on this offense and try to figure out a way to get past this offensive line to get some sacks on Carson Wentz, flush him out of the pocket to make some bad throws.
Yeah, hopefully that's something that we get. I know we can try to get some more sacks this week. TJ Watt got off the Schneid, and I think that's the way they're going to win is through pass rush, turnovers, the way they won a lot of games last year.
Yeah.
On the defensive side of the ball, certainly highly familiar with Coach Flores and his schematic approach to football, but it certainly doesn't make the preparation process or the playing against it any less difficult. He's very multiple in his schemes and thoughtful. He attacks protections from a passing game perspective and does so very well. He plays in an aggressive up posture, structured defensively. It doesn't always mean that he blitzes a lot. Sometimes he can fall out of that into a variety of bogus zones. More than anything, man, he carries a big menu. He challenges you individually and collectively from a football intellect perspective. I think the veteran-laden secondary really allows a lot of those things to happen. I think the return of Harrison Smith is significant on the back end, tying all of those things together. They got a nice veteran group at corner. Rodgers had a big game last week, and certainly Murphy's been around. And so I think when you got veterans like that, it allows you to carry a big menu and do some of the things that they do pre-snap from a look perspective that really is challenging to protection schemes. Up front, Javon Hargraves, the acquisition of Javon is significant in terms of their rush. Javon has been a significant player at every stop. He's good against the run. He's good against the pass. Got to talk about their edge people. That edge tandem is really impressive. Make a lot of splash plays, very versatile. They rush versus tackles. They drop in a myriad of schemes that Coach Flores deploys. And so we got a lot to get prepared for there. But more than anything, it's about us continuing to grow. I'm sure the same thing could be said from their perspective. I think there are a lot of teams at this juncture.
Before we get too far away from it, so I think the big names there that he mentioned, first you got Brian Flores, who I think if Tomlin wasn't as loyal as he wants to be and all that thing, could very likely be the defensive coordinator here in Pittsburgh right now, but he chose to stick with Terrell Austin. And honestly, I mean, looking at what both these defenses are like, you have to say, I think if you're objective, that it was the wrong move not to keep Flores around and let him go when they did, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a talented play caller for the defense for sure, and he's been having the Vikings make some splash plays for sure over these past couple games of this week, and I think over even the last season as well. And he's a talented coach, and I mean, just from right now, from what we see, you have to go with a bias, just kind of see what's going on and say that maybe Brian Flores should have been the defensive coach for our team right now, but he stuck with Terrell Austin. He stuck with his loyalty to the team, and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, last week he mentioned Isaiah Rodgers. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 fumble. The other name that he mentioned there is Javon Hargrave, former Steeler, former guy in the middle. Got good money in a couple places, and now he's in Minnesota. I think the Steelers would really like to have him back right now too, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a talented player, and he was making a lot of plays on our defense when he was here on the team. And it's sad that he's gone, but he got what he needed with his money.
Yep.
And
They pay
is
everybody.
making. Yep, they pay everyone. That's it.
Uh-huh. So let's see if we get a couple questions from Tomlin before we move on to something else.
Of the journey that's really focused on the individual collective improvement and the consistency of play. And so those are things that have our attention as we lean in on our work week. The physical work on this side of the trip is important for us. We're doing some things to acclimate ourselves to the trip. We're working early this week to start the body clock transition process. We certainly have some best practices in terms of acclimating ourselves once we begin the journey at the latter part of the week, but nothing unique there. A lot of organizations have been traveling internationally now for a number of years. And so some of those procedural things that put you in position to best perform are less mystical and really more best practices, the hydration factor, the sleep factor, and all of those things. We had a good admin meeting yesterday regarding some of that stuff so that we can get singularly focused on the football work, the prep work that's going to be required to position ourselves to play winning football. So I'll pause and open it up for questions.
So before we go there, do you expect that any of that to be a factor? Are you thinking the move over, the plane flight over there, and anything like the change in hours, change in sleep? Do you think that's going to play a role Sunday?
I do. And as somebody who has traveled overseas to different countries and stuff and been on a flight, I will say that jet lag is not fun. And you want to make sure just to try to get yourself out of that jet lag, depending on the time that they land, because I'm not sure the exact time zone difference between here and Ireland. But I know what they usually tell you to do is when you get to a country, you want to stay up till maybe about 9-10 o'clock at night, just so you could try to get, yourself, keep your body up so you can get that 8 hours of sleep. So you're not going to bed as soon as you get there and then waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to be prepared for the next day. So I do think that it might be a little bit of an issue only because it is going to a different time zone overseas. I mean, I know they do it in the States here where maybe the furthest they'll go is 3 hours with going to the West Coast, but you're looking at more like 6, 7, 8 hours going over towards Ireland. So it's going to be a little bit of a different time frame for these guys. And of course, Minnesota is going to be a little bit farther for them because I think they're at least an hour or two behind us, so it's going to be even a little bit harder for them. But I do think that is going to be an issue. Just hoping that these guys can adjust quickly to it for whatever time they do decide to fly over there and can get themselves acclimated to the time zone there.
Yeah, so you brought it up there at the end. The fact that the Vikings have to do pretty much the same thing does kind of like make it less disadvantageous since both teams are going to have to deal with it. I do expect there's to be some sluggishness.
Yeah.
But overall, like a lot of these games, at least early on, I think teams are starting to get used to it. They were some bad games, but I think teams are starting to realize what the best way to do everything. They'll be there for a couple of days. So I'm thinking it'll play a role, but it'll play a role for both teams. So I'm not too concerned about it for the Steelers in particular.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's get into a couple questions. I don't know where I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions related to Ireland.
Mike, what did you learn? I mean, you've been overseas one time. What about the travel and handling it? Have you learned anything that you could take into this?
It's been a long time for me individually, and that's kind of what I was referring to. There's been a lot of organizations since then that travel, and I just think procedurally is less mystical. I think procedures are more global. There's more shared information about how to best pull off these trips. We have that information. The Vikings have that information. I think it's, less of a discussion topic in today's game as it was maybe in 2014 or whatever year that was that we went to London.
I wanted to sound smart, so I actually listened ahead and then said all the shit I just said. But yeah, he just pretty much went in with way more detail and confidence with what I was just saying about how the teams know what they're doing nowadays, and it is a little different. That mystique is off with going to Europe.
Like, how do some of the injury recoveries work with the international travel and playing on a different field?
I don't expect it to be significant in any of those discussions.
What about having your secondary intact against such an explosive passing group of receivers, at least? Are there things you've been holding back because of these injuries?
Certainly. But it's not just the injuries. If you're coaching and you're seeing around corners, certainly one injury doesn't get you off your game, and two better not. But it's the injuries coupled with the fact that, the players themselves are new in general. As I mentioned last week, man, all four of the secondary guys in that second ball game for us were new to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so we got some new people. We got some attrition. And certainly you're doing what's appropriate when you take the game schematically to those that are playing. But I imagine the more we play, the more stadiums we step into, the less that discussion is significant, the more we're going to be able to expand our menu and do more things, and they be able to communicate with great fluidity and understand how we go about our business.
I think that's a new Tomlinism coach is seeing around the corner.
Yeah.
The secondary, I'm assuming Porter Jr. is coming back the way they're talking here. I haven't got an official thing in front of me. I probably should have. But, yeah, health is going to be a big key here in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking about the Vikings and everything like that. And hopefully that means that they can have some of the communication issues go away that have been talked about previously, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the injuries have been a problem the past couple of weeks, and not having the starters back there, has made it a little difficult with the defense giving up a lot of pass yards and just total yards in general, over the past 3 weeks of the games that they played. And so, I'm hoping that Porter Jr. is back. I'm hoping that, some of the main guys are back. I mean, I do understand that not everybody is going to be back, but I am hoping that the defense can come up with some type of game plan against this aerial arsenal that Wentz does have with his offense, So hopefully there's something that, they have something planned and prepared for this Vikings offense. So it'll be interesting to see what they have prepared.
So they are working out. They're practicing. It looks like both him and Deshaun Elliott were limited participants yesterday, and that there is encouragement that they will be there on Sunday.
Okay.
So that's good news to hear from everything there.
Yeah.
Just going on. This is from a couple weeks ago, but the change in the secondary in about 3 years went from Cam Sutton, Levi Wallace, Nikello Witherspoon, Minka Fitzpatrick, Terrell Edmonds, DeMonte Casey, and Trey Norwood to Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter, Deshaun Elliott, Jabril Peppers, Brendan Eccles, and Chuck Clark. That is a big transformation. We talked about the quarterback room changing from year to year, but the secondary has had a lot of turnover. We've talked about it in the past, but just seeing that as I was looking for the news on the injuries there, it's a big difference, especially name-wise.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's every name. No, I don't even think one of the names you said were the same. It's a complete different secondary that we do have, and so it's different personalities, different play styles with these guys, and I understand that Terrell Austin, I think, has been the guy since then as well, but he has to coach these guys differently because they're all different names and stuff, and different play style, So it is crazy to see that, just over the 3 years, how different the secondary is. So, I mean, we have a lot of big names right now than what we did a couple of years ago, so I'm hoping that these guys can step up and be the players that they were. I mean, I understand some of them are veterans, a little bit older, but, I'm hoping that we can get, since this last game and they made some plays, I'm hoping that maybe things are starting to kind of mesh together with these guys and getting this defense going.
Yeah, this is the week for it, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get it going. Let's listen to a couple more questions, I guess.
Or show you anything last week that makes you want to include him in that group?
He certainly did. I thought he played with really good energy. He was productive. He made some tackles. He caused and recovered a fumble. But above all of that, I thought his experience showed. Although he was new to us, he was a really good communicator, particularly for a first in-game experience from a defensive unit perspective. And oftentimes, levels of communication, is an indication of understanding. And so the way he communicated, certainly he displayed a high level of understanding, and that makes us all really comfortable.
Mike, how would you?
Yeah, getting Peppers is really a unique situation.
Mhm.
I think a guy in the mid-season, you don't see it often, where you can plug somebody in and they can make impact right away like he did. Pretty lucky, I think, on the Steelers' part that they were able to get him, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think
Uh-huh.
he may have had some animosity towards the Patriots
Yeah,
for releasing
exactly.
him, you know what I mean? And I
Uh-huh.
think so. I think he wanted to kind of make some splash plays during that game as well.
Mhm.
How would you assess how the offense is through 3 weeks now?
I think we're moving good and moving in the right direction. Certainly there are areas of get better in all areas: run game, pass game, protection, division of labor, personality. But I like the general trajectory of all of those things that I mentioned.
What's keeping the run game from being more consistent?
I think sometimes it's game circumstances. We're not getting off the field a lot or frequently enough on defense. And I think it's altering our time of possession. And oftentimes that dictates how the game is played in some instances. Calvin Austin, for example, I don't know that Calvin's had a punt return. And so that's an indication of the possession component of play and how oftentimes that can affect other phases of the game, not just the unit that might be struggling in a certain area. And certainly we hadn't gotten off on possession downs defensively the way that we liked, and there's a trickle-down effect of that.
We'll end it there. Do you buy into that? Is that how you're seeing it, and do you see that as why the offense has been struggling to get the run game going?
No, not at all. I don't know what he's talking about.
Uh-huh.
The offensive line isn't blocking and they're not doing anything. How about you bring that one up? You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is not having enough time to pass the ball. I don't
Uh-huh.
see it as of course you're gonna have lack of time of possession when your defense is on the field the whole game. Of course that's a thing. I don't know what he's talking about. I think
Yeah, and it's not like the passing game is killing it. So you could be like,
No.
oh, they've been down, so they've had to throw or blah 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 blah. No, they've been in games, right? Am I
Yeah.
crazy? There hasn't been like a situation where they weren't within at least like score.
No, I mean they were within a score, I think, in every game,
Except
and
until Seattle, but that
until
was
that was
because of the turnover. And
on the
everything, or
kickoff. Yeah, that was it.
So yeah,
So,
I don't know if I can buy that as the reasoning why.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with the fact that they're not running the ball well. Whoever you want to blame Arthur Smith and what he's trying to put in place, or blame the line. It's just not going well, and there's no like time of possession excuse.
No.
Your defense is staying on the field. The one thing
Exactly.
they do is possess the ball once you get it back.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that doesn't really hold water for me, at least.
And to say Calvin Austin has a punt return, how about you stop him on third down instead of
Yeah,
giving him
well,
third long?
that was his point. His point was that the defense hasn't been doing their jobs.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that's
of
why.
course.
But so he is saying that. But I don't think that's enough of a reason to explain why you
Not
can't
at all.
run.
Not at
That
all.
doesn't affect your yards per carry. That would
Yeah.
affect maybe your total. Somebody was like, "Hey, how come your total yards?" No, it's per carry yardage is not doing well. And it's the whole offense. It's not like you can
Yeah,
pinpoint
exactly.
one guy exactly.
Exactly.
It's a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you thinking? What are your predictions for the game? Final score, MVP. What do you got?
Well, I think was it last week started my
3 weeks.
3 week.
Uh-huh.
I want to give them the win here. The way the Vikings have been playing, they've been playing very well. They're a very talented team. I think they have a very good coach. I think they have a good defense and a good offense. Just a well-rounded team in general. I did like what I saw with the Steelers defense causing, I think it was 5 or 6 turnovers, against the Patriots, which I'm hoping, and they got about 5 or 6 sacks as well. So I'm hoping they can continue that role. I am going to take the Steelers to win this game. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be close. I think there's going to be a lot of defense going on both sides of the field. I think there may be some big plays, of course, for the Vikings. I'm hoping the Steelers can get 1 or 2, but if anybody's going to have a big play, it's going to be that Vikings offense. But I'm going to take the Steelers for the win here. I think it's going to be close. And I'm going to take the Steelers to win. Let's go 24-21 final field goal by Boswell to win the game. And I think my MVP, I'll say offensive MVP. I'm going to go with Metcalf for the offense. And then for the defense, I'm going to go with Patrick Queen.
I'm concerned. I'm going to take the Vikings. I honestly just looking at everything. I just see this as a loss for the Steelers, and I think it could become a very frustrating game. I'm going to go. I'm going to go 24-10. I'm going to give the Steelers a loss. I don't know. I just don't have a good feel for the team this week. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, I'll be able to come back after the game and talk about how dumb I am. But yeah, I just see the Vikings winning this game 24-10. If the Steelers do win, I think it's going to be related to Rodgers having a good game. So if we win, I think it's going to be Rodgers getting a couple touchdowns, maybe 3 touchdowns. Defensively, I'm going to go with our guy Hayward as my MVP. I don't have a good example of why or anything, but he's been the one that's been making plays right now. You'll be apologizing to him sooner or later.
Yeah, I will be pretty soon. Yeah.
Either way, that's what I got. 24-10.
All right.
We'll see whether or not I'm a fool or not. Come
see what
Sunday.
Happens. Yeah. I may be one myself, so we'll see what happens.
I'll see you then.
I'll see you.